Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So a few days ago I made my own personal wishlist for update 1.40 and beyond, and I wasn't originally planning on doing a community one this time around. However, you guys have made some very solid suggestions, so that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Now, I'm not going to include any specific cars, so if there is a comment that's been like, oh, I want the BMW M5, whatever, I'm not going to include those, mainly because look, we've probably all got a personal wish list of 100+ cars we'd love to see in GT7. I know I certainly have, but let's be realistic there, most of them are probably never ever going to happen, so I'm going to exclude specific cars or anything like that. Groups and such are kind of a bit more open and it's something that you can discuss as a whole topic, but specific cars, not going to include those. So let's get straight into it with number one, and it's by Big Sarge. This one, he kind of clicks onto my point of get rid of the invites for the cars, but also then goes on to say fix or get rid of the roulette system. And I fully agree. The roulette system itself is something that has once again plagued this game since day one, and whilst it has had a few slight changes to percentages and stuff, it is still very much a rigged system and very much a very poor system, where the majority of the time you will A, either end up in the top left, or B, end up with the lowest single prize on those tickets. And not just that, there is a high chance that most of the time your ticket you're going to get is just completely worthless anyway, and it's not really a rewarding feature. Whilst at first, when you're kind of starting the game off, this seems like a great idea, you know, okay, I'll jump on every day, I'll start building up my credits, I'll get rewarded for just kind of playing the game. After you've been playing a while, there's just no real reason to take any notice of the roulette system currently. And whilst I don't think they should just get rid of it, because yes, there is a chance to get some decent rewards in there, they should certainly, you know, kind of adjust it to be more in line with it being an actual roulette and completely random, more than the rigged system that is currently in place. It's very much a poor system. If we look back at GT Sport, again, that was pretty much a daily car that you got. Yes, sometimes you got duplicates and such, but it was still a much better system and much more randomized than what we see in GT7, where, like I said, the majority of the time you're going to land on either 5,000 credits, 2,000 credits, or just the lowest prize in the top left hand corner. Definitely needs a rework, and I fully agree there with point number one. So I'm going to go over to a comment by Zippo next. I'm not going to pronounce the numbers, it's like 711111, but yes, I'm going to pick that comment next because again, I feel like it does touch on kind of a point that I made but builds upon it in terms of the custom races. Custom races in Gran Turismo 7 are actually fantastic. They are some of the most fun you can have within the game, just because of the customizable options with the grid, and running the grid of your entire garage is just absolutely amazing to do. However, there is a massive downside. They're not really worth your time. And basically what he goes on to say is if they adjust it and bring it basically more in line with the rest of the game, basically have a set payout for a set amount of time or a set difficulty option and such, it kind of takes away the need for Polyphony to actually put their own events in and allows us to be as creative as possible and make as many different group multi-class races as we actually want to do, with a fair payout system in place, meaning that it kind of expands from the 4 grinding races, and if we want to sit there and do a 24-hour race or just something, you know, ridiculous like that, then we can go ahead and do it and actually be rewarded for the time we put in. This is a video that I've done a while back at this point, basically taking a deep dive into just how bad the custom race payouts are, and they are absolutely atrocious, and it just kind of takes away a whole bunch of options from the game. Like I said, custom racing in this game can be great, especially if you're doing multi-class or just setting up the races the way you want to do. Being rewarded for the time that we put into them in a fair manner would be absolutely incredible, and this is definitely something Polyphony should look to do in the future, especially in terms of just balancing out the whole economy and making custom races much more viable and much more usable, especially if we're wanting to do some of those longer endurance races in our own parameters on a much more difficulty than just kind of driving around endlessly against easy AI and, you know, just purely going for the credits. So point number 3, it goes to Daniel Koeman. Now this one I fully agree with, and it's something that I've not really mentioned too much, but it is something that's kind of, you know, gone through my mind at certain points, especially when I've been playing other games that seem to have a system like this in place. Most notably things like, you know, Forza Motorsport I believe has a system like this in place, as well as games like, you know, Hot Wheels Unleashed as well had this system in place where it rewards you for buying someone's livery. So let's say we go ahead and, you know, spend that little bit extra. Usually sometimes you have to buy decals and such to put a livery on. Giving some of that back to the player that created it would be a great way to get the community to make more liveries, and it would feel much more rewarding for that player. Yes, I get, okay, some of these players would be receiving a ridiculous amount of money, but yet again, some of these players are spending ridiculous amount of hours just going ahead and creating a livery for people to use. Just rewarding them in that sense would be fantastic. I'd love to be able to, you know, give back to some of these livery creators. Some of these liveries I've had on my car since, you know, day one of GT7, and I've never taken them away because they're absolutely, you know, stunning and very visually attractive. But I just feel like, you know, there is no way to go and reward them. Yes, you can leave a like, yes, you can leave a comment and sort of repost it inside of Gran Turismo 7, but, you know, give them a few credits back. They've taken plenty of hours to make these liveries. Rewarding them is the least we could do, or especially in terms of just giving them more of a reason to go ahead and create more of these liveries. I feel like this is a great thing to do, to kind of give back to the community and rewarding them for taking all of those hours of just, you know, grinding away and making a livery for players to use and enjoy within GT7. So I'm going to move over to Illumine Eddie's comment next. He basically goes on to say that we need more race information whilst in PSVR2 in GT7, and a lot of people do make this comment, and I've kind of overlooked it because truthfully I don't play that much VR for Gran Turismo 7. The kind of whole wow factor of it kind of faded away quite quickly, and it's something that I'll just kind of go back to kind of as and when. It's not something that I'm really die hard about. Maybe it's just because at this point in the game's life cycle I've played so many hours and it's quite difficult to kind of shake up the game, and a new perspective and feeling just isn't really that. For me personally anyway, but I do agree, when I am in VR, this is something that really does frustrate me. We can't see leaderboards, we can't see fastest laps. I know one of my league racers as well, he just constantly races in VR and he will constantly be asking, you know, who's fastest lap, who's where on the leaderboard. You know, it is quite a frustrating experience. Just having that extra information just would massively improve the competitive side of using VR too. I get it's all about immersion, but sometimes we just want to see that extra additional information. So fully agree there with Eddie. This is a much needed change, and everyone else that's always said this comment, finally I've touched on it. Yes, I agree. VR2 definitely needs a bit of a HUD update and a bit more information displayed so we can just get that feedback on how the overall race is going. So I'm going to head over to a final point. This one's by Reezy's, who basically goes on to give me the final dream point. This is a massive thing for me when it comes to custom and private lobbies within multiplayer racing games, and that is the ability to add AI into those races. Look, sometimes you just want to chill with a bunch of friends, say like 6 of you and such, but you want the ability to just pad out the grid and just give the grid a bit more life. There's nothing more boring than just having like say 4 to 6 of you or whatever and just racing around on your own. It gets pretty tiresome, and sometimes you just want the ability to pop the AI in there to just, like I said, give the grid a bit more life, give it a bit more of a feel within the race. And I fully agree with this one, although you did make multiple points. I'm just going to touch on the top one first because this is something that I absolutely love when we can do this within racing games, especially for private and community lobbies, is just pop the AI in there. And I feel like it's such an underrated feature. It's just an awesome thing just to be able to get a group of friends in there, pop a bunch of AI in, and then just have a chilled mini endurance race or something like that with your own custom lobby settings and such. It's just absolutely awesome to see. So yeah, fully agree with this one. It's going to be the final point. finally someone mentioned it. You know, I feel like that's such an overlooked feature within racing games, but I do fully agree. So thank you for the suggestions. I'm going to be here all day, to be honest, if I kind of, you know, cover all of these. The video's already gone on long enough, so apologies for that, but thank you for those suggestions. There's some really good ones in there that kind of, you know, stray away from the usual, oh, I want this car, I want that car, or oh, I want this feature. While something like the roulette is definitely something I fully agree with, and I didn't really touch on too much in my previous video when I did my personal wish list. I touched more on the invites. Fully agree with that one, but there is some awesome suggestions there that I kind of just out of the blue and a bit out of the norm, and I really wanted to kind of get them in a video and just quickly talk about them. So thank you so much. I'm going to end the video here. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord. I'll leave a refresh link in there. I always keep forgetting to do that. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.